What if one day your home was taken away, your money was gone, your career disappeared, and you were separated from the people you love? What if everything you had built your life around was suddenly taken from you? And what if you could no longer see a future ahead of you? Viktor Frankl actually lived through a situation like this. During World War II, Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist and neurologist, was imprisoned in Nazi concentration camps. He witnessed death and experienced hunger, cold, violence, and fear. Even the manuscript containing years of his life's work was taken away from him. Almost everything was stripped from him: his possessions, freedom, work, family, and future. And yet, in the middle of all that suffering, Frankl discovered something extraordinary. There was one thing the Nazis could not completely take away: the freedom to choose his attitude. That became one of the central ideas of man's search for meaning. Before the war, Frankl had spent years studying one of life's deepest questions: what makes life worth living? Then, his own life became a test of that question. At the camps, prisoners lost almost everything that had defined them. Their possessions were taken, identities reduced to numbers, families separated, and friends disappeared. Frankl's manuscript was taken too. It represented years of his work, and in an instant, it was gone. And you might ask, if everything I have is taken away, who am I? Frankl's answer was profound. Even when everything external is taken away, something remains: the ability to choose how you respond. You may not choose what happens to you, but there is a space between what happens and how you respond. And in that space, there is freedom. Frankl noticed that people living under the same horrific conditions did not all behave the same way. Some became cruel or focused only on survival. Others shared what little food they had, or offered kindness when they had almost nothing left to give. Frankl came to understand: our circumstances influence us, but they do not completely define us. Circumstances matter. Frankl never romanticized the camp's hunger, violence, fear, and death were real. But even under extreme circumstances, there could still be a small space of freedom. How will I respond to this? What allowed some people to keep going? Frankl discovered something extremely important: meaning. People who had a reason to live often found a way to endure what they never thought they could survive. But when they lost all sense of a future or anything worth living for, they could begin to collapse. So Frankl believed life's deepest question is not only, what do I want? Or, why is this happening to me? But, what am I living for? We can survive without many things, but when we lose our sense of purpose, it becomes much harder to keep moving forward. Meaning gives suffering a direction. It gives tomorrow a reason to exist. Frankl wanted to rebuild his work, complete the ideas he had been developing, and see the people he loved again. He imagined a future beyond the camp. He pictured himself someday telling people what he had experienced. That future did not yet exist, but it gave him something incredibly important: a reason to keep going. Even in the darkest moment, he could tell himself, this is not the final chapter of my life. Sometimes the future we imagine helps us survive the present. We also live through memory, hope, and the possibility of tomorrow. One of the most moving ideas in Man's Search for Meaning is Frankl's reflection on love. Inside the camp, he thought about the woman he loved. Even though she was not physically beside him, his love for her gave him strength. He realized, love does not require physical presence to be real. Frankl saw love as one of the deepest ways human beings experience meaning, not through possession, status, or achievement, but through loving, caring, and giving ourselves to something beyond our own ego. Sometimes the reason we keep going is not because life is easy. It's because someone, somewhere, matters to us. Does Frankl mean that suffering is good? No, absolutely not. He never glorifies suffering. We should not seek unnecessary pain. If suffering can be prevented, we should prevent it. If injustice can be stopped, we should stop it. But sometimes suffering cannot immediately be avoided. Loss happens. Failure happens. Illness happens. Relationships end. Money problems happen. Dreams collapse. When we face unavoidable suffering, Frankl gives us another question. Not, why is this happening to me? But, who will I become because of how I face this? You lose your job, your business fails, someone you love walks away, or you face financial hardship. Your first reaction may be, why me? But eventually, ask, given that this has happened, what can I choose now? The first looks backward, the second looks forward. One can trap us, the other gives us agency. There is no single answer to the question of life's meaning. For one person, it may be family. For another, love. For someone else, their work. It may be creating, teaching, helping, raising a child, caring for a parent, serving a community, or building something that will outlive them. Sometimes, when suffering cannot be avoided, meaning can even be found in the way we choose to face it. No one can simply hand you the meaning of your life. There is no universal formula. You have to discover it. We tell ourselves, I need to be successful. I need more money. I need people to respect me. I need the perfect relationship. I need to finally get my life together. Yet the harder we chase happiness, the more anxious we sometimes become. Frankl's philosophy suggests, don't make happiness your only goal. Find something meaningful to do. Find someone to love. Find something worth taking responsibility for. Find a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Then, happiness may become a byproduct of a meaningful life, not something you constantly chase. Maybe life feels difficult right now. Maybe you've worked hard for years and wonder why your life hasn't turned out as hoped. Maybe it's money, your career, a relationship, or your future. You may be thinking, if my circumstances don't change, I can't be happy. Yes, circumstances matter. We should work to improve them. Take action. Learn something new. Get help. Build a better future. But while you change your circumstances, remember Frankl's question, who am I choosing to become in this situation? That question can change everything. You are not only a victim of what happens to you, you also participate in what happens next. Think about what you cannot control. You cannot control other people's thoughts, the past, the economy, or everything that happens to you. Sometimes you cannot immediately change your reality, but there are still things you can choose. You can choose how you begin your morning. You can choose whether to get back up after failure. You can choose whether cruelty will turn you cruel. You can choose whether to show kindness. You can choose to take one more step when you feel like giving up. You can choose what kind of person you will be. That is the freedom Frankl discovered. The last human freedom. Man's search for meaning does not tell you, just think positively. It doesn't say, everything happens for a reason. And it doesn't say, pain is always good for you. Frankl's message is deeper. He asks, can you still find meaning in your life, even when life is not going the way you wanted? Don't wait for life to become perfect before you start living. Don't tell yourself, I'll live when I have enough money. I'll be happy when I succeed. Or, I'll enjoy life when everyone respects me. Life is happening now, not someday. Not after everything gets fixed. Now. Even in an imperfect life, there can still be meaning. One day, every one of us will die. Before that day comes, life will bring us things we never expected. There will be failures, losses, and disappointments. Frankl leaves us with one question. In spite of everything, how will I choose to live? Maybe the meaning of life isn't always about getting what we want. Maybe it's about finding a reason to keep going, deciding who we will become in suffering, and taking one more step when we want to stop. Your story may not look the way you imagined, but that doesn't mean your story is over. If you're struggling, remember, your current circumstances are not necessarily the final chapter of your life. There is still today, and the power to choose. One small choice can change the direction of an entire life. So ask yourself, what am I living for? When you find even a small answer, take one step toward it. Viktor Frankl showed us something extraordinary. People can take away your possessions, comfort, freedom of movement, plans, and even the life you thought you would have. But one freedom remains incredibly difficult to take away: the freedom to choose your attitude toward what happens. Perhaps that small space of freedom is where hope begins, where meaning begins, and sometimes where a new life begins. You may not choose everything that happens to you, But you can still choose who you will be when it happens. And that choice may be more powerful than you realize.